Hello, everyone. I'm Sean, a marketing manager here at Mazars USA, and I'd like to thank you for attending our webcast. Today, we will be presenting Manufacturing and Distribution During a Pandemic, Innovation. And this will be led and moderated by Alana Dibble, a senior manager at Mazars. Alana will be joined by our featured panelists, Michelle Reddick, founder of Bad Foods, Phil Piscopo, CFO of Windmill Natural Vitamins, Danielle Tillman, Managing Director at BKL Architecture, and Damon Elliott, Finance Director at FOPRO. Before we begin, I'd like to review a housekeeping item. To ask questions, please send them to us using the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen. We will try to answer all of your questions during the webcast, but if a fuller answer is needed or if we run out of time, your question will be answered after the webcast via email. Also, if you need any technical assistance throughout the webcast, please send us a message via the Q&A box. Now, thank you once again for joining, and I'll hand it over to Alana.
Thank you, Sean, and good morning, everyone. And again, just to reiterate, thank you for joining our webcast this morning. COVID has really impacted our lives and businesses in ways that we could never have imagined. To navigate through these uncertain times, at Mazars, we're using our industry expertise and knowledge to bring you a series of webcasts highlighting different ways to get your business back on track. Throughout this series, we'll be speaking to our clients, industry experts, and others to explore the impact COVID has had, how businesses have pivoted, and an outlook into the post-COVID era for M&D. Today is the first of our webcast series, and our panel today is highlighting innovation. We will be sitting down with some of our great clients to learn about how they've been innovative during this pandemic, from shifting business models to manufacturing PPE with 3D printers. We will explore how being able to quickly adapt in this environment has impacted your business. Just before we kick off, I want to remind everyone, feel free to use the Q&A box to ask any questions throughout the session, and we can incorporate them as we go. So to start off, I would like all the speakers to introduce themselves and their companies and give the audience an introduction to yourself. So let's kick off with Phil this morning.
Well, thanks, Alana. Thanks for. I'm the CFO of Windmill Natural Vitamins, or Windmill Health Products, and I've been with the company for a little over 10 years. Windmill's operated for about 50 years, with its first in the corner of vitamins and supplements to independent pharmacies. So we sell now to about 8,000 pharmacies directly and through major. The company's founder was actually a pharmacist who compounded vitamins in his spare time for his pharmacy's customers. In the last decade or so, sales have extended well beyond vitamins to more of the specialty supplement side, and now we are in virtually every retail channel. Our largest customer by far is now Walmart, and they're about 50% of sales, which is always interesting. TJX stores, Amazon make up the next tier, and then we have about 2,000 other accounts in food, drug, mass, club, and international. And we're an authorized distributor to just about any retailer you can think of. And we've managed to survive in the process.
Good. We're very glad to hear it and have you here today. Moving over to you, Danielle.
Hi, good morning. Danielle Tillman, licensed architect by training and managing director of BKL Architecture. We are an architectural design firm. We focus in various markets across the globe, including multifamily, residential, office, hospitality, civic, and education sectors. We are headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, but we have offices in Washington, D.C., as well as Shanghai, China. Our firm is really rooted in responding to the context of our projects and our clients' needs, and our team designs projects that only try to enrich the sites around the world in which we work and build. Great to be here.
Thank you, Danielle. And Michelle, you also have an interesting background, so let's hear about you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Michelle Reddick. I am the founder and CEO of the Bad Food Company. Bad is better and delicious cookies, brownies, granola, foods that satisfy your sweet tooth and all of your cravings for comfort food, but still keep you healthy. And we actually launched earlier this year, which was an interesting and crazy time. But it'll be a great story one day. And I feel as though if we have been able to launch and survive through COVID, we will be well placed for the future.
Yeah, facing your biggest challenges right off the mark.
Yes,
good for you.
Absolutely.
And Damon, last but not least, I'll let you introduce yourself and FOCO.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Damon Elliott. I'm the finance director at FOCO. We makes team licensed sporting good products. Basically, the souvenir type items you buy at any professional game you go to. We hold licenses in the NFL, NBA, MLB, and college leagues in the U.S., and we also hold licenses in the EPL in the UK. One of our newest products you might know is, if you've been watching any of the baseball, we're manufacturing the face coverings that the players and coaches are wearing. That's a bit about FOCO.
Sounds good. And thank you again for joining us today. It's great to see different types of companies and have a different perspective from each of you. So kicking off, I really want to think about and know from you, Phil, what was the fundamental driving force to the success of Windmill during the COVID pandemic?
Well, before the pandemic hit New Jersey early in the year and we were operating normally, and to rise from our pharmacy accounts in other areas of the country for what would be considered immunity. There's vitamin C, echinacea, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, all kinds of herbals, and requests also started coming in to see if we could source PPE, which we really hadn't carried up until that point. That wasn't something that we actually normally would do. So one of our sales execs began to source N95 masks, which have been sort of an interesting dynamic associated with it, because we've been, let's say, we've been queried by a number of state attorney generals about pricing and have been dealing with that on a regulatory side. But surgical masks, rubber gloves, and ultimately hand sanitizer. And then hand sanitizer seems to have had the broadest and longest appeal, and we've actually sold millions of dollars sanitizer. Of products that mostly have various combinations of vitamins and herbals to support immune health. And these have been very, very successful ongoing products as well. Of all the above, we've not only managed to stay in business, but we are well ahead of budget, well ahead of last year. The record sales.
That's really, really good to hear. And do you believe it was the foundation of your business and the existing relationships and contacts that you had that allowed you to adapt quickly and really change to a different type of product and execute well on that different type of product?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're, I guess, sort of a middle market company. And in general, we can go from product production and distribution in just a matter of weeks in general. And that, I think, ingrains flexibility, respond quickly to general market trends and demands. If the group remembers Dr. Oz and his sort of, I don't know, year of fame where he was on the market and talking about various suggested supplements, we would actually listen to his broadcasts, and within 2 or 3 weeks, we'd have to whatever he was promoting at the time. So we also have our own internal art department. We have our own creatives team. And except for PPE, for which we initially paid some ridiculously exorbitant prices, we're also fortunate to have domestic sources of supply and production that are pretty responsive to our needs. And we also happen to have an affiliated company that's a contract manufacturer, and they can turn products around for us pretty quickly because the individual who owns our company also owns that company. So it works pretty well for us.
Yeah, it sounds like a good setup for you, and you were able to leverage it well and act fast. And Michelle, I'm going to turn it to you now, because as Phil is working for a very mature company and you're much more in the startup space, you had a very different experience from him, and you had to make some changes immediately. So it would be good to hear about your successes in COVID, during COVID, and how you pushed through.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. We did launch earlier this year. We are a consumer packaged good brand, so we sell packaged cookies and brownies and granola, as I mentioned, on the shelves of grocery stores, and had scheduled numerous launches with different chains of grocery stores, all but one of which were delayed when everything shut down and people were staying home and quarantined. And even as things started to open up, we all know you went to the grocery store with your head down, following the arrows on the floor, not really looking at the shelves to see what new products were being brought to market. So it was extremely challenging. And as a new company, one of the advantages that we had is that we were able to quickly pivot and find new ways to reach the consumer. None of them are so innovative. It was just a different strategy for us. So we right away applied to market our products on Amazon, and we quickly advanced our website to more promotions and to get the word out there in a much larger scale. Our focus primarily up to that point had been on reaching the consumers in stores through demos and in-store promotions, and we just, thought about how are we going to find the customer and reach the customer, and especially during COVID when people were looking for comfort food and snacks and things that we reach for when we're feeling anxiety and stress, and also just to have. And so the pivot was pretty easy for us because of the fact that we were still so new and had not been able to complete our launches in all of the chains that we were working with. And we know that that will happen. But what we're noticing in the marketplace, and I think across all platforms, customers are ordering online, whether it's food or toilet paper or any supplies that maybe they were used to going to the store and grabbing. There was a significant shift, and the shift in our business to reach those consumers through online resources, we believe is a good shift in the long term, because those customer habits will survive long beyond the world opening back up post-COVID. So it was a quick shift. It was a good shift, and we were able to do it because we really had the ability to stop, drop, and roll. And maybe it would have been different if we were already in the process of shipping all around the country to grocery stores, but luckily we weren't. And all of our ingredients are domestic, so we've not had any issues in our supply chain. And our manufacturing was slightly delayed early on as they were readjusting their shifts of employees, but they worked it out, and the factory has been up and running at full capacity for at least 2-3 months now. So it was hard initially, but ultimately I think it's really a great and positive step for the company.
And as I hear you speak as well, you're really accelerating that online platform. I'm sure the intention was to go there next after the grocery stores. So going into that now first and building that customer base, like you said, as people are online and looking to purchase things online. And then those customers will come to the stores and they will recognize your brand and go, pick up your cookies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there was no wrong answer. There are a lot of companies that launch online first and then follow up with store launches. And there are companies that go into stores first and then follow up with online launches. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. And again, we had initially planned on doing it one way, but we were able to shift and go the other route, and both of them will eventually meet together. People will buy the product online now, and when stores are opening up and bringing a new product again, they'll be able to get it in store as well. They'll know the brand, they'll recognize it. Maybe they've already tried it from an online order. But I really don't see for us that there was any real downside other than a slight delay in the launch.
Yeah, and as always, I appreciate your positive outlook, Michelle.
It's a cookie. You have to feel good about a cookie.
And Damon, although it's a different product, I understand that for FOCO, the focus as well had to be on direct to consumer. Although you already had your platform there and a significant amount of business there, it would be interesting to hear your focus points and your successes during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, sure. So, our company kind of is now split into two divisions of distribution, the e-commerce portion and our wholesale division. Both are fairly significant, making up roughly, it's almost 50-50 at this point. As far as the e-commerce goes and pivoting to that, we certainly leverage our platform and our other e-commerce distribution in our wholesale channel and focus there because we saw the trends of sales going through the roof as people were staying home or stores were not open. But we kind of just accelerated the plan we had already had. We had already been, for the last 3 to 4 years, been realizing that there was going to be some existence of the wholesale and in-store brick and mortar type distribution, but obviously it was going to consolidate and we were going to have to, be able to be where the customer is. And, that is moving to online. And this kind of, this pandemic and with COVID, it's kind of only accelerated that. So we luckily were able to leverage what we were already starting to build. We're in year 4 of our own e-commerce platform. So it's fairly stable. We're not going through a lot of the growing pains we were 3 years ago. I think it would have been a lot more challenging had it been 3 years ago. And we're much more, competent group now in running a website and knowing how to do things very quickly, knowing how to react fast, how to get products up online overnight. And I think that helped us a lot. As well as, refocusing our wholesale strategy. We made sure that we were focusing on the places that were always going to be open, the essential stores, you might call it, grocery chains, Walmart, Target, drugstores, things of that nature. And we made sure we protected against, focusing too much on stores that may open or close or might, have restrictions and, places we might not be able to service for at least some time, right? We have a mall business. There's no malls open. We have, we make team products for the sports leagues. We're not going to be shipping to the team stores. There's no fans in the stands. So that being said, we do sell all of their e-commerce channels. So they have their own websites. We do sell the league sites, the NFL shop, MLB shop, things like that. So we were able to kind of leverage on both distribution divisions, not only e-commerce, but also essential type stores where people are going to be. And the foot traffic is much higher. I mean, we could see I'm sure maybe Phil mentioned that Walmart's a large customer of his. I'm sure he's seeing the increase in sales at Walmart because the foot traffic is insane. And we're seeing, we make novelty products. So I can only imagine essentials or, vitamins and things like that.
And similar
Absolutely.
to Phil, too, I understand that you had to switch your focus on some of the products as well. and making face coverings and masks. Talk us through that, what it was like to focus on new products, supply new products, etc.
Sure. So, we had a period where we realized that we were able to kind of leverage our supply chain to make PPE products. I guess very similar to Phil and Danielle. We realized that there was some, opportunity there. We are very flexible and fast reacting as a company. Some of our sales representatives had let us know that, people were asking about it. Can you guys do it? You guys make all kinds of other things, kind of on a whim. And we were, very easily able to kind of source that from our supply chain. It was a bit chaotic with costs. We kind of actually had a decent control over product costs, but the actual freight costs were pretty crazy. They were changing day to day because we were importing from China. And we were doing more your typical kind of civilian type face coverings and, kind of rubber glove type thing. And we did fairly well with that. And that was a good intermediary gap to, generate some revenue for us. And we were able to kind of reset the business while generating some sales and go back since then, basically, since that 30 or 40 odd days of selling PPE, we've kind of repivoted back to our main business. And, which is team license support, and gave us a little bit of breathing room. But that kind of just speaks to the flexibility and kind of fast reaction of our company. And we were just making sure that we took action instead of staying frozen in obviously a very difficult time.
And that's what I'm seeing in each of the companies we have on the webcast today is those fast reactions and courageous steps to move forward and deal with what's in front of them. Danielle, coming from a different type of business, your architecture business, could you tell us about your experiences during COVID and the main changes that you made in your company and how it impacted your employees?
Yes, thank you. I think that it's really interesting to hear kind of the juxtaposition with the other panelists that are much more manufacturing of a specific kind of product versus, we are a professional services company. And so our product, though we are architects and the building is the final product, our product is really the services that we're able to provide to our clients and making sure that deliverables are, received and things of that nature. And much of what we do is also very tactile and one-on-one. And so we have a lot of in-person meetings. We're looking at samples of materials and building materials. And so we had to pivot to a world that for architects I think was a little bit more challenging because we are so used to being face-to-face, very collaborative, within a specific, brick and mortar office. And that wasn't possible anymore once the coronavirus hit. And so we had to pivot fairly quickly. We started meeting with our IT department in late February because we kind of thought that we may need to go to 100% remote. And for an office of approximately 75 people, we knew that we needed to, if we were going to be able to get our services and provide services to our clients efficiently, then we needed to act quickly. So analyzing our technology, everyone is now used to a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, and understanding how to interact with our clients in that way. And so I have to say that our employees were tremendously nimble in how they reacted and able to get us to basically working 100% remote within days. And our clients really haven't felt, any lapse. as well as we have been fortunate to have quite a few construction projects or projects under construction. So being able to deliver to those construction projects to make sure that work is continued and seamless has been something that we've been able to do as well.
We can definitely relate to that at Mazars as well. We had to do the same shift as you to move our employees from the offices and the client site and move them to home and make sure the IT was up and running, and more importantly, making sure that we could still serve our clients in the same way and same quality that we had been doing when we were able to have the in-person interaction. And it sounds like you've been working well with your clients and continuing those strong relationships with them. Has there been particular things that you and your colleagues have done to maintain those client relationships and ensure the quality service is provided despite not being in person?
Of course. I think that one thing is meetings have become even more important. And so those Zoom meetings or team meetings that we've been able to have been imperative to the business. And as well as within our office, just understanding what technology is most efficient for us to be able to continue to provide the correct documentation and the correct services to our clients. But it's been, I think one thing is that the way of the world as it is now is something where we're all working from home, we're all adapting, we're all remote. And so with that, we've all, clients as well as those of us that are providing the services, have had to update our way of thinking and our way of working. But it's been able to keep us all streamlined so far.
Yeah, when everybody's in the same position, we become much more relatable and can understand other people. Damon, I know you said to me as well what was important for you and your employees going through this, being able to connect over video as well as calls, but having that connection through the video as well. Can you talk about that and also how you kept your employees motivated and upbeat during this busy time?
Yeah, sure. No different than Danielle. I mean, our IT team was great. Maybe, I don't know if it was days, but, maybe 1 to 2 weeks of planning. And we've basically been able to work remote for both our US and UK headquarters via either laptops and other equipment. But yes, the video calls, we use Microsoft Teams, have been incredibly important. And one of the main things that we kind of pushed for in the management team, whether it's the CEO or any of the other senior managers, that we make sure that we are on video when we take calls or when we have calls with different groups, and we encourage other people to be on video. So that you have more of a face-to-face connection. Obviously, you're not in person, but when you're meeting, you can see that people are engaged. You can see that they're, able to interact with each other, making sure they're working as a team still, not alone. One of the initial things we did was we had kind of regular kind of check-in type calls, stuff that we wouldn't have done in the office because, you happen across people, walk in the hallway, or, you walk in between offices if you have to drop something off or you want to talk to somebody. But we, initially, and we've kind of moved away from this because people are in a rhythm now, but initially we kind of had almost a forced, hey, we're going to do an interaction with, the team leaders and the team members on a kind of a rotating type schedule. Different senior managers talk to different groups a little more often. But now it seems to be in a rhythm. And I think that's kind of something a lot of people can relate to, being on either video chats, whether it's for work or for social. Everyone's using either, like Danielle said, Teams or Zoom to, go about their day-to-day things. But I think that was key for our employees to feel connected to the business and to each other. So they're not, sitting at their house alone and feel like they're doing their work by themselves and no one's, recognizing them, or that, just, checking in that they're doing all right and that type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's those 5 minutes here and there in the office where you touch base with someone, you can see how they're doing and how their day's going. So to hear that you put into place some structured meetings to begin with to recreate that environment, and then now it becomes natural, it's really inspirational. Michelle, I know already for you, a lot of the employees were in different locations and you were working remotely with them anyway, with plans to meet them at various events. And let's talk through that with you and how you engaged your employees during this time and kept them going.
Yeah, it was challenging initially, but I think what I'm hearing here today is very true for me as well. Things just became seamless, routine, habit. Truthfully, my employees mostly right now are a series of different agencies that I use throughout the country. I have a team that I hired that helped me set up my products on Amazon, and I have a social media team, and all of these people are located in different places, and I have been able to do Zoom calls and bring all the teams together no matter where they're located. And also, I think it's been a little bit more fun and playful when you have a dog barking or a child running in or some kind of distraction. Even the other day when we were on our call and it started pouring and my sunroof was open and I had to run out. I mean, we're connecting as people with lives while we're working, which is very different than when you're just in the office and you're only operating in your professional mode. So I think putting down some of those barriers as we're working together, located around the country, doing Zoom calls to connect, there's been a little bit more human connection and interaction, which has made working together fun. Sometimes interesting, sometimes embarrassing, but we all feel a very common bond right now because we're all experiencing the same thing no matter where we're located. And it's brought, I feel like the teams that I work with as part of this launch, it's brought us all together, and that connection will last as we start to open up and start meeting again at food shows around the country or in offices in New York or wherever they may be. We're going to have this established connection that I think is unique in the work environment and fun. And something to look back and laugh about when we talk about how we all got started working together and some of the fun things that have come out of our experiences. But it's really helped, I think, keep everybody upbeat, that we can have a shared, you joke around on a Friday and you say, well, everybody have a great weekend, and everybody laughs. What's the difference anymore between the weekend and the rest of the week? We all have that same shared common, feeling and experience. So it's been not as challenging to keep the team cohesive and working together well. I send cookies to everybody who's stuck at home, just as a reminder of what we're working on, and I find that helps too.
Cookies definitely always
Right.
help, and you're right. Having that view of people with a life behind them, whether it's a dog or a child that's running into the room when you're on the video call, it brings a different connection and a different context.
Absolutely. And we all become a little bit more dimensional to each other, as opposed to just seeing you in the workplace. And, other than the water cooler conversations that you might have, but might not with other people that you work with, this is a way that it's somewhat forced upon you to have those water cooler conversations every time you connect.
Yeah. Bill, I'd like to move over to you now, because as an essential business with distribution and warehouse, there's also an element where you had to keep your locations open, keep the employees working there. if you could talk us through that on the motivational side for your teams and also the safety of your teams and the processes that you went through and the impacts that it had.
Sure thing. So, to providing and requiring masks and gloves for the distribution staff. Unfortunately, early on, we lost one of our distribution staff to COVID. And as a result, there was a large degree of concern in the warehouse staff group about coming to work. So we immediately shut down for a day or two to ventilate the facilities. We engaged a sanitization company to weekly fog the buildings with EPA, CDC recommended products. They certify the buildings to be germ-free when done. We hired an employee whose exclusive job is to sanitize touch points in the 2 buildings we occupy, and he does this multiple times daily. We augmented the distribution staff pay. We also employ a substantial number of temps who work with us consistently. And because of the sort of oddness of dealing with a temp agency, we really were unable to augment their pay. Handed them Visa cards every 2 weeks, Visa gift cards. And we were supposed to have lunch provided every day to everybody who came in. There were a number of local restaurants who would provide delivery, and we just said, just order whatever you want. These immediate actions provided some motivation and comfort to the staff to continue working, and we've had 0 issues since. So it's really worked out very well. And thank goodness, and we've all been safe.
First of all, I'm really sorry to hear about the employees that were impacted at your company. And it shows great strength for you to acknowledge the feelings of your other employees and how they would be impacted by this, and then implement the safety precautions you did and those small factors like lunch every day, etc., to keep them engaged and keep them motivated to come. Especially with what's going on in the behind the scenes with changing your product and having a lot of activity on the business side, it was absolutely vital for you to continue to have your employees come and, do their job and work through business to keep you going.
Yeah, 100%. It actually worked out, thank goodness. And everyone's pretty comfortable at this point, I think.
And Michelle, hearing Phil talk about providing lunch for his employees, food is always a comfort thing, a feel-good thing. And I know Bad Food has been donating as well to the community and to give back. Let's hear about that and what you've been doing.
We're still a very small company, so our ability to do something on a large scale is somewhat limited, but my business is part of a community, and so we have been donating to hospitals from the beginning, but mostly we've been donating to food banks that service families where the kids get a lot of their meals at school, and these are food insecure families. And again, it's a more local project for us, but there are a lot of communities in and around our area where there are many children who are food insecure. And again, when you go to a food bank and you get beans and soup and rice and staples, that is really great. But when you're a child, you do want things like cookies, treats, sweets, and I feel fortunate that we were able to contribute. And part of that came from the quick shift of not launching in stores and having manufactured product that was ready to go. So we were quickly able to reach out to the food banks and donate. And even now, I go in every week and help bag at the food bank. Even if they're not taking my product that week per se, I feel as a food business, it's part of my responsibility to be engaged in feeding people, whether it's locally, nationally, globally, whatever your company enables you to do. I feel that that is part of my responsibility, and I'm very proud and very happy that even as a startup, newly launched brand, we were able to help with first responders on the front line and children who really needed food.
You should absolutely be proud of that, and people will remember, and it will really impact them and will have helped them.
Yeah.
Danielle, at BKL, I think you have a fantastic story about how you and your firm reacted to COVID and how you were focused on giving back to the community, your local community. Can you talk us through what the company did and the various steps, because it's definitely very interesting.
Yes, of course. We are actually really proud of, we think of it as a DIY effort that we did within the office. We saw that there was a need for PPE, and so using an open source file that my colleague Andrew Tyson, who manages our model shop, he received from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and created a face shield bracket using 3D printers. We use 3D printers for making our models all the time, and we thought that while we are remote and are not using them, this was a good way to put our tools to service for others. So purely in a volunteer effort, we created a GoFundMe, which actually raised money for additional 3D printers. So I believe at one time we could make hundreds of brackets at a time to be able to create these face shields. In the end, we created over 5,000 face shields and donated over 5,000 face shields to 53 hospitals, clinics, aging homes, and community organizations, and we shipped them to 12 different states. So again, this is a purely volunteer effort. Our staff would come into the office completely socially distanced. We had instructions on a table. Andrew, my colleague, would be out of the office. He set everything up. The printers were going, and people could sit at a table and create the face shields using the bracket and really, some different kind of everyday materials. But they were able to be, something that healthcare workers could use, and we got so many thank yous when we went to deliver them, and they thought that we were there to sell them, but that was definitely not our intent, and so it was great to be of service in that way. And then the 3D printers, which were purchased through the GoFundMe, we've already donated some of them to the Chicago Public Libraries, and the others will be donated to Chicago Public Schools as well. So in a really dark time, we were able to assist as best we could, and it felt really good to do so.
And as an employee of your company, I would feel very proud of my employer for coming up with this innovative idea and then be able to build a small supply chain, leveraging off your technology and your employees. So I'm sure it was a motivational thing for your employees too at this time of change. And there's a feel good when they were giving back and adding value to the community.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I say is that I enjoy working with my colleagues. I believe the almost familial way that our office operates, and being able to still connect even though we're not able to be together as we would like. That this effort definitely pulled people together running errands to get those different materials and dropping them at the office, and it definitely did assist in making us all kind of feel better and be closer together as well.
And paying it forward to the community too, where you were using the 3D printers for the time that you needed and then passing them onto the library for future uses is really admirable as well. But what it tells me is that you're happy to switch back to the architecture rather than long-term business of manufacturing face shields.
While it was very much an enjoyable process, we understand that we are not manufacturers of products in that sense, and so I think more traditional manufacturers were able to start to produce the PPE in a time frame that was necessary. So happy to definitely fill in the gap for that time period. And then, of course, being able to assist with the Chicago Public Libraries and the Chicago Public Schools to benefit, our youth and things of that nature was definitely a way to be able to, again, make a bad situation as positive as we could.
Yeah, absolutely. Damon, I'm going to turn it to you now because I know FOCO has also had a focus on the community and giving back. What have you been doing and how have you structured this?
Sure. So I think I had mentioned earlier that we're now making team license face coverings. And one of the things we did was typically when you have a new product in the license world, you go negotiate royalty rates and things like that. And what we thought was something we could do different with this product was give a personal donation. And actually, all the leagues that we have the rights to were also giving their royalty amount that they normally take in as revenue as a matching donation. So through, I believe, the end of June, we were up to almost $4 million in donations across various charities. The two main ones being the CDC Foundation and Feeding America. And obviously, we're continuing to sell these products as people have a need for them. The sports leagues are coming back to playing now, and fans are buying them just as much as they were in the beginning. So our donation amount is just growing as we sell. So it's something I think our company is very proud of. Obviously, I believe the leagues are pretty proud as well. They're donating something that should be their revenue as well. And for a size company like us, something that we didn't even maybe necessarily believe in the beginning that was something we could contribute in that large of an amount. But I think, it's been very successful all around. And we're able to produce a product that, helps people out, but also, really give directly to people that are in real need.
And do you plan to continue that, throughout the time you're selling the face products or throughout the rest of the year?
Yes, we have different arrangements with some of the different leagues, but yes, we do continue to proceed. And, it's not necessarily a detriment on the business. We've, made it so that we still make some money here, and we're able to continue doing that.
Great. It's good to hear. And now I would like us all to think about, what's next. I know we're all still mainly at home and we're still going through the pandemic. And I would like to hear what the company's thoughts are for the next couple of months and the near future, what you see in the horizon. So Phil, let's start with you. What's your vision for the next few months and the rest of the year?
Well, I think from a P&L perspective, I think everything, at our company is looking pretty positive. What I think we've learned from this whole process is really how important the frontline workers are to the business, because without our distribution, so these are our essential workers internally, and the key to continuing operations. is to do literally whatever it takes at whatever cost to keep people coming in, and not just keep them being safe, but keep them feeling safe is absolutely key. So, we're pretty responsive, I think, to whatever is going on at the almost lowest staff level. Since we're actually all now working back in the office, we do a lot of sort of management by wandering. We're making sure we see everybody and see how they're doing and check in with them multiple times a week. We have ice cream Fridays during the summer where we hand out ice cream to the warehouse staff. We try to have a little bit of fun in the context of what's going on, but keep everybody motivated and keep them feeling well, and hopefully they are in fact staying safe. So I think that's really key, is understanding who the essential workers are and keeping them motivated.
There's definitely an additional appreciation for all employees, I think, at this point, and particularly the ones with the boots on the ground who are really producing and pushing the company forward. Damon,
Absolutely.
How about you? What's the thoughts for FOCO over the next few months?
Sure. I think for our headquarters staff, I think, we're going to continue to work as is. It's been fairly efficient. I think we've taken a lot of measures to make sure people are able to connect online and things like that. Similar to Phil, we have distribution centers as well. We've taken a lot of similar measures with PPE product, additional pay rates, and even we've added shift times. So, we kind of stagger when people are in the warehouses to mitigate the amount of people in at once. And then obviously we're doing sanitizing and things like that. So for our people that have to go in every day, I think the key is to keep making sure that if there's new standards of protection, we're keeping up with any of them. We've seen, different things come out from other companies that they're doing that maybe we weren't originally, where maybe we couldn't have known, maybe it didn't exist, a month ago, but we've been continuing to react as we see new things. And we continue to, keep our going in mind. But as far as our, more headquarters type staff, I don't foresee us going back to maybe 100% capacity in the office anytime in the near future, or maybe even further out. It seems to be working very well from home. Maybe that could change if people are able to go do things again more freely. So, obviously we'd have to monitor that. But I can imagine a much more kind of hybrid where, people are in sometimes a week, they're in for client meetings, they're in to have a department meeting here or there, but maybe not in the office, 5 days a week, 8, 10, 11 hours a day, like they might have been in the past.
Yeah, the use of the office is definitely different now, and it's looking different for the future. Michelle, I'll move on to you. You launched your business through this difficult time, and it's going well so far. So what do you see for the rest of the year for Bad Foods?
Gosh, that's such a great question. I'm going to be honest and tell you I'm not really sure. I think in March, when we first went into lockdown, we all predicted that by August, September, we would be opening up again. Kids would be back in school, colleges would be back up and running, and we would go back to the grocery store and start living our lives the way we normally do. At this point, it's really day by day, seeing what's happening around the country. Again, our store launches have been postponed and delayed, pushed out even further. So again, I look at all of these as delays, not defeats. We will continue with our strategy of trying to meet the customer where they're at, and that will be through Amazon, through our website, through social media outlets and finding influencers that align with what our company stands for, a way of life of, better and delicious food that's healthier for you, better for you, and that people are still looking for during a time of stress and anxiety. But all of the store launches that we had planned on earlier this year and that we thought we were just pushing out into the summer months continue to get delayed and to be pushed out even further. And I really wish I had a better answer for what the balance of this year would look like for us. But I think we're just going to stay the course, continue focusing on our online direct-to-consumer sales, some more targeted advertising and promotions to try and find a way to connect with and reach our customer, and understand that, sitting on the shelf waiting for customer may still get pushed out well into next year.
And with your continued positivity, it's going to come. There's going to be a time.
I believe it will. I believe it will. I truly believe it will. And, the few minutes of anxiety that I experienced when everything first happened and COVID shut down retail stores and grocery stores, it was difficult. But I really do believe that my business is built on fundamentals that I know are sound and good, and the product is really amazing. And I just have to accept where I'm at today and know that the future will be different. And I know that it will happen, and there's no reason to feel bad about it right now. I just have to accept it and get up every day excited about what I do.
Yeah, and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And Danielle, last but definitely not least, we'd love to know about BKL and what the vision for the rest of the year is. And we also received a question asking about if you have seen any change in office designs from your customers as a result of COVID concerns.
Thank you. We are, as far as moving forward for the rest of the year, we don't foresee being 100%, everyone has kind of said this, 100% in the office anytime soon. So we remain mostly remote. We have done a little bit of a slow, soft opening of the office where teams are able to come in now to touch down, but very selectively, and remaining. We actually have a schedule where it's I think under 25% of the office at any one time has the ability to come in those kind of random days. But other than that, it's really about, as I was saying before, continuing to provide service to our clients, and our team has done an amazing job of working from home and still providing the services that we need to keep our clients happy and to keep our projects on track. Regarding the office spaces, we understand and we know that office will look different, and everyone is kind of trying to figure out what that difference is. Before allowing anyone back into the office, we had to analyze our office as well, and so we've kind of used that as a case study. We've created desk shields, different circulation paths, as well as understanding, local, state, and federal guidelines as to best practices to keep people safe while in the office, though that is limited. And so we are offering that as a service to our clients and to others who would like to understand what their space can offer as it stands right now, or what they expect for it to be in the future.
And it goes back to being relatable to your clients too, as you had to go through the same thing in your office, and the types of concerns and the types of things that they're looking for when they're coming to you for help.
Yeah, we thought that that was likely the best way for us to understand. If we understand what our office, and our office is actually quite an open plan office, like many offices today. If we had to understand that for our staff, and our staff feel comfortable, we actually did go through a little bit of a vetting of what we were putting into practice, so that they saw along the way what our thoughts were, and you know, also created we tried to create an open communication to you know, have feedback as well, you know, with people's comfort levels as well. So we thought that that was a good way to be able to then relate that to other offices and be able to give not only expertise as people within the built environment, but also a very tangible, you know, this is how we did it approach as well.
Thank you, Danielle. And now we're at the stage where we're going to conclude on the webcast today. We covered a lot of interesting topics, and I really appreciate all the speakers' time, learning about your companies, how you've kept positive, kept going and moving forward. I'm sure the audience were interested, and they're also inspired by your stories. So Phil, Danielle, Michelle, and Damon, I really appreciate your time. And thank you to the audience as well. Coming up in just a couple of weeks' time, we're having the second webcast in our M&D COVID series with a focus on supply chain, which will be on August 13th, and I look forward to seeing you then. I will pass it over to Sean to conclude and close the webcast.
Thank you, Alana. So we hope everyone found today's webcast insightful. A huge thank you to our panelists for sharing your inspirational stories of how you were innovative during this pandemic. We encourage you to tell us what you thought about today's webcast by completing our feedback form. There's a button on the right-hand side of your screen. Please click that button now. We also invite you to reach out to any of today's presenters or myself with any further questions. Thank you once again, and we hope you all remain healthy and safe. Enjoy the rest of your day.